What's going on, guys? Detached here for another quick Destiny video. Today we're going to be looking at my PvP build for my Warlock. I've been getting a lot of questions on kind of what I run and stats that I have and the setups that I've got for a lot of my subclasses. Before we take a quick look at that, I have been debating on a couple of weapons. Now, I've picked a few of these up just in random gameplay. The B29 Party Favor is a fantastic weapon. It is basically turned into a baby hacksaw. Now, the vendor version that you get has got some okay rolls. It's not the best, but it's got glass half full. It's got small bore, which helps the range and stability. It's got partial refund and rodeo. That column could use some work, but the rest of it is pretty good. Like I said, this is kind of the baby hacksaw. It does have a low count on the magazine. It's got 24 versus hacksaw's 30. But this is a weapon that I started running a few weeks back and have really enjoyed it. The one that I've been debating on getting, I've been seeing if I could get a drop from it, and I have not yet, is the hero formula. I've been hearing good things about it, so if you guys have picked this weapon up, let me know what you think about it and what you enjoy about the weapon. It's got a pretty decent roll from what I can tell on the vendor's roll. It's got life support. It's got who's next, so last round is going to increase the reload speed. It's got explosive rounds, braced frame for stability, and it's got third eye. So a couple of weapons that I've been debating about getting. The ones that I've picked up, like I said, are B29 Party Favor. I picked up the 0-Day Dilemma, and I'm just not sure about it yet. It's got a really low magazine count for an auto rifle. It does have pretty decent impact, and the rate of fire is okay, but I'm just not sure about it yet. The Pally, of course, has become one of my favorite go-to hand cannons in the game. The vendor roll is okay. It's got mulligan, spray and play, gasket mag, rifled barrel, which helps the range, and then you got range finder as well. Now, I'm not sure what the percentage that gives you for range finder when you have rifled barrel in there, but this has become a go-to hand cannon for me. The roll that I got from the drop in the Crucible was much better than this, but the vendor version isn't bad. Now, as far as my gear and what I've been running on the Warlock, I tend to run Sunsinger and Voidwalker. I've been running Sunsinger a lot lately, and along with my gear, I've been running the Rise of Iron gear set and the Memory of Silmar. In the Crucible, resistance to your damage of attacks over time is greatly increased. The boots, chest piece, and helmet are all the Rise of Iron and Iron Banner gear. So I enjoy a good cosmetic look, but I also like the functionality, and it's got to have good stats. Now the gear, it's got a fantastic look, and it also has really good stats. I'm running tier 10, almost tier 11 on the stats. I'm running 3, almost 4 on your intellect, right at max on discipline. And your strength, I'm running a tier 2, almost tier 3. Now your top tiers that you can get in your stats for the Rise of Iron release is tier 14. There are a select few pieces of gear that you can put together to actually reach that 14 level on your tier, but I've had good luck with this build lately. I'm shooting to have about tier 12, potentially could get tier 12 out of this build. I've still got a few more pieces to unlock and max out. So here's the build and what I'm running. I'm running Sunbreakers. The cool perk here, it increases the duration of your solar grenade while gaining an additional solar grenade charge. Now, that goes into both PvE and PvP. It does come in very handy for PvP if you're running solar grenades, because of the flare of the solar grenade, it damages enemies trapped inside. I've been using this a lot for control, because the enemies will tend to clump up around the control point. But it helps with the fusion grenade because the discipline level that I've got, it brings that grenade cooldown time down quite a bit. I think it's 25 seconds you get a grenade. Now, the build that I'm running for, of course, your Radiance, I've been running Fireborn. This gives you your life after death. Most of the time, it just depends on the situation. If I actually use it or not, it depends. This is kind of an old skill, so most people that play PvP are used to the Warlocks who come to life after death. But the Radiant skin, while active, Radiance reduces incoming damage is another very nice buff to have in your PvP. So for the fourth column on Scorch, I'm using Brimstone. It reduces the cooldown of Scorch. Killing enemies with Scorch causes them to explode. Again, for control, which I've been playing a lot of lately, if you're inside a circle and you're looking to hold that control point, you got multiple enemies around and they do explode, it does cause damage to other enemies around the area. For the fifth column, I'm using Arcane Spirit. I really want the battle recovery and the armor up as high as I can get. Radiant Will for the increased Radiance duration. The Divine Order is going to help basically your tough level and not dying as much, or trying to help with it. And then a Gift of the Sun, which is going to give you that additional grenade. So that's my Sunsinger build, and what I tend to use, I almost never use Angel of Light, but I do use Touch of Flame. So all your grenades ignite enemies, causing damage over time. This does work in PvP, depends on what grenade level you're using. Your Firebolt grenade is kind of like an Axiom. It's going to shoot bolts of solar light at nearby enemies, but it does not track people. And then your Sticky grenades, when it's attached to targets, will do damage over time. So starting with 2 of those, once you kind of bolt into the PvP arena, does come in quite handy. So that is my Sunsinger build for the Warlock. Now, to go over to my Voidwalker build, I actually have this one set up a little bit different. I've been running PvP a bit differently on this. I've got my armor extremely low because I was playing some PvE, but for PvP, the Axiom Bolt comes in a heck of a lot of use because it tracks people. Now, to pair that, if I was to use a set of, say, gloves, I'd probably drop it down to the Iron Sega. This is actually a nice looking pair of gloves. The stats actually don't change a whole lot, and I'll pair that with my Voidfang vestments. Now, the Voidfang vestments, it's going to give you an additional Axiom Bolt grenade, and it helps when you spawn in because it produces those two grenades right off the bat. So great for the Void build. Now, the way I'm setting this guy up, for the third column for Nova Bomb, I've actually been using Lance, so your Nova Bomb travels faster and farther, and it does more damage. The other one that I use are the Vortex. It continually damages enemies trapped inside that vortex that your Nova Bomb creates. This comes in very handy for close-knit quarters, say control maps, or even a open arena that you're playing in. For the fourth column, your energy drain, I've been using Lifesteal. This comes in very handy for PvP because the portion of damage that you do, it's going to restore a significant portion of your health by draining that enemy's damage. Your Arcane Wisdom, it's focusing on battle recovery and speed. Most of the time, I'm going to have my recovery and armor up to its max and my agility down fairly low for PvP. Angry Magic, because Nova Bomb tracks your enemies. And then the other one that I use is the Hunger. It increases the duration of the energy drain. Right now I have it set up to Annihilate. This increases the size of explosions created by the Nova Bomb. The Ancestral Order that I have is you're focusing on all attributes of your build. Most of the time, like I said, I run the Divine Order because it increases your armor and recovery to about its max. And the last column, I'm running Embrace the Void. Killing your enemies with Nova Bomb or any grenade triggers energy drain and restores your health. Great setup for PvP. So that's my Voidwalker setup. Would love to know how you guys run your Warlocks and what tips and tricks you guys have learned over the years of running them. That's kind of the class setup and gear setup that I run for both my Sunsinger and Void. And last but not least, my Stormcaller setup. Now for that, I'm switching back over to the Days of Iron Vest, but I will actually run my Claws of Ahamkara. Now, I've always enjoyed the Claws because of this perk right here. The Whispers, it's gain an additional charge for all Warlock charged melees. The Storm Trance melee has got some sick range on it and does a ton of damage. So here is my Stormcaller setup. I run the Arcane Grenades. The grenade that chains bolts of lightning to nearby enemies comes in very handy. For the third, from your Storm Trance, I'm using Superconductor. It doubles your Storm Trance Lightning's chaining capabilities. The other one that I tend to use is Landfall. The firing a bolt of lightning into the ground causes a mass AoE damage radius, so it comes in very handy when those close quarters. You got 2 or 3 Guardians that are all lumped up together. You can fly over the top, hit that, and you can wipe quite a few of them out at one shot. Now for the Thunder Strike, your Chain Lightning and the Amplitude are two that I use quite a bit. The Chain of Lightning deals and allows the Thunder Strike to chain to nearby enemies. The Amplitude is going to give you a greater range on your Thunder Strike, and that is why people hate this build so much, because you can be what seems like forever away from a Stormcaller Warlock, and you are going to get owned pretty much 90% of the time if you don't know how to handle them. Now for the next column, I'm using Arcane Spirit because it focuses on that battle recovery and your toughness. Transcendence will give you lightning for years, it seems. When you cast with full grenade and melee energy, Storm Trance restores your health to full and drains very slow. And when I say drain slow, it feels like you can have tickle fingers forever. The Pulse Wave is going to give you a tad bit more on the recovery, and it also boosts speed for all your allies. And next, I run Divine Order. This is training which focuses on that toughness. And the last column, I run Electrostatic Mine. Your Storm Trance charges faster when allies are near, and when Storm Trance is active, nearby enemies take damage. This is my PvP build for my Stormcaller. This is what I enjoy running, and again, that Claws of Ahamkara gives you an additional melee charge. It comes in extremely handy. Now for the weapons that I've been enjoying lately and having a lot of fun with, the Clever Dragon has become my favorite PvP weapon of all time. I have got a pretty good roll off of this one, and when I played the Iron Banner last go-round, I ended up getting 2 or 3 really good rolls on these. This one came out with Hammer Forged, Quick Draw, Head Seeker, and it's also got Feeding Frenzy, Appended Magazine, and Hand-Laid Stock. So not a bad roll. I'm running Hammer Forged, Quick Draw, and Head Seeker, and it does help the damage over a short time. This has been an amazing weapon, and I have really enjoyed it. It is one of the smoothest shooting and easy to handle weapons in the game right now. For my secondary, I'm using the Warlock specific Sasano Fusion Rifle. Now, what makes this weapon pretty unique in PvE, doesn't work with PvP because elemental damage doesn't do anything really to the Guardians, but your elemental transfusion, so causing damage with subclass abilities, will transfuse that damage type to this weapon for a period of time. So this weapon does come in extremely handy for PvE. It has got a great roll on it. I'm running Hot Swap, Braced Frame, and between those two right there and for my linear compensator, it's got more predictable recoil, slight boost to range and impact, but it does have a tad bit more recoil. The impact is almost fully maxed out. It's got decent range, the stability and reload. The only thing that kind of downside is it only holds 4 rounds in the magazine. So a little light on the round and the ammo capacity, but for the most part, this is a very good weapon, and I've really been enjoying it in the PvP arenas. For my heavy, I'm running the Titanium Orchid. I really haven't maxed this out. I haven't used heavies a whole lot lately. The aggressive launch is going to give you a little more recoil control, but for the most part, this weapon's got a decent blast radius and some good velocity on it. So guys, that's kind of my weapon setup and what I've been running lately on the Warlock. We are going to continue looking over the next couple of weeks at my PvP builds for the Hunter and Titan as well. But this was my very first Destiny character that I created, and has always been one of my favorites. Now, I do like my Titan, and I really enjoy my Hunter, but the Warlock is still one of my favorites to play. So guys, that does it for this gear overview. Would love to see what you guys run, and what your thoughts are on my subclass setups. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget, if you're new to the channel, subscribe for more content just like this one. Like the video if you enjoyed it. You guys have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you in the next video, Guardians. And don't forget, I'm detached, and I'm out.